Greetings and welcome to our summer bonus episodes of the Food Professor Podcast presented by Cattle.
Once again, Sylvain and I are taking a couple of the summer months off to recharge and get ready for our next season. So as the official podcast for the SIAL Food Innovation Show this year in Toronto and spending some time at the Ontario Craft Wineries Conference in Niagara Falls, Sylvain and I had the opportunity to interview some of the leading thought leaders, brands, and makers in the food industry. As the saying goes, these are their stories.
Stay tuned for Season 6 of the Food Professor Podcast, debuting August 28th. We'll be back on the mic together live with our particular brand of truth, insight, interviews, custom research from our friends at Cattle, and yes, a whole lot of fun.
So we're at SIAL Canada in Toronto, and we have the pleasure to have as a special guest Laura Brehaut, who I've met for the first time face-to-face, I think a couple of years ago in Toronto for
Kensington
coffee.
Market.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. But I thought, you know what? We're in Toronto. I'm going to bring you in, and I'm going to interview you instead of the other way around.
The tables are turned.
And frankly, I've been fascinated by Laura's work. If you read the National Post or the Financial Post, you'll read her work. She covers a lot of stuff, a lot of material, the economics of food, culinary arts, and everything else in between. So, Laura, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. What's your remit officially? Like, what do you look at and what do you report on?
I am a food reporter for National Post, and my features and news items run across the network, Post Media Network newspapers.
And when you say food, are we talking the food industry and or food for consumers? So like the gamut, the wide gamut?
Aspects, yeah. And that's what I love about it. You know, I have a weekly cookbook column, so I focus on, culture of food, but what I really love is, seeing how all aspects of food intertwine, because,
There's nobody like Laura. Because, as a lab, we actually publish reports, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes you call us to cover some of our reports, and I had no idea you were interested in certain topics, but you were. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So
always.
Yeah. So most food reporters focus on the economics, trades, or just exclusively culinary arts, but you're just really all over the place.
Yeah, and I love how they feed into each other. I think that's why I've been writing about food full time since 2016 for National Post, and that's what keeps me so genuinely excited about it. Is just all the ways that it crosses our lives. Nutrition, environment. Yeah, especially now.
Politics, business, everything, right?
Absolutely.
Now, did you always want to be a journalist? Did you go to school to be a journalist? Or like I certainly didn't. I find myself, as a podcaster, I'm not sure how you guys feel about me.
But podcasters aren't journalists.
That's what I'd like to get down here. We are not journalists. I have much respect for professional reporters, so much respect. But did you always want to do this job?
Well, I think we have that in common. I studied anthropology and linguistics, and then I was a musician, and I thought I wanted to get into the production side, so I did media production at TMU. And got into storytelling, got really hooked by storytelling, first in audio form, actually. So, I'm a big fan of podcasts. Yeah. But then got into the publishing side because I always worked in online. Back, pre even iTunes days, I was working in internet radio. So that was my entry point to journalism, was digital publishing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm actually supervising a PhD student in anthropology right now, so I'm starting to understand your brain here, because I'm not an anthropologist myself, but I love the science. It's just really it forces you to be a little curious or very curious about a lot of things related to human beings.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the decisions we make and the evolution of society. It's just a wonderful science anyways. So I kind of understand now where you're coming from.
Yeah, and in those studies, that was a long time ago at University of Victoria in the late 90s.
Because you are from BC.
I am from BC, yeah. I'm from the Sunshine Coast. But yeah, the cultural side of food, nutritional anthropology was one of my favorite courses back in those days. So I always had an interest in food. And then when I started writing at CanWest, now Post Media, food was just a natural place for me to go. And I did my culinary arts certificate at night and weekends. And
so a real intersection of the personal and the professional, right?
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And as I was writing more often, I really thought, not that I necessarily think it's necessary to have a culinary arts degree to write about food, but for me, I felt it was important. I wanted to learn more about the skills, the reality of what that work is like.
I want to talk about the tradecraft of reporting now in the modern age. I mean, there's 3 million of guys like me or people like me think they can talk about stuff, but it lacks. What's it like to be a reporter in I'm going to call it mainstream media?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
right.
For sure.
But what's the tradecraft today, and how's that different? Do you have to pull a lot more levers? Hey, I got to go on TV. I got to do a podcast. I can't. I got to report on this. I got to do this. What's that evolution been like?
Well, honestly, that's not something that's really top of mind for me. I guess most of the time I'm really writing, which I love. And I was talking to a friend about this the other day. Just the blessing, in fact, to write every day, and be honing those interview skills.
It's a privilege. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, and I don't forget that.
Yeah.
And
you're a good writer. I'm not a good writer.
You are.
You're incredibly prolific. I don't know how you do it.
Well, you have what, 8 books?
Number 9 coming out this fall, number 10 next year.
There you go. Yeah, very prolific.
And I write a column, weekly column for La Presse and for Post Media. Yeah. But you understand the power of the pen as well, your words, and frankly, I mean, I'm a fan of Laura, if you can't tell, because the way she actually describes our work is makes it so relatable and accessible to the public.
Oh, thank you.
And
that means
so,
a lot.
yeah, and so
is that who you're writing for?
Absolutely. I'm always thinking about my reader 100%. So, all those other aspects of the job, I'm thinking about people to talk to, and especially now, you have to be responsive. And now with changing priorities with Canadians, which your lab has investigated, the Buy Canadian movement is strong, and telling those stories. And I have to say that after all these years of doing that, it excites me so much. And now to be able to talk to Canadians who are, I did a few Buy Canadian features, one on whiskey, one on bean to bar chocolate, one recently on
I read your
cheese.
Whiskey, and I went out and bought a Canadian whiskey at LCBO.
Amazing.
So you're like a traffic driver now.
Thank you.
Because I like a good American whiskey, but I'm like, hey, I'm sure we can do a pretty good job. And I went out, what was it, Bear Claw or something?
Oh, very cool.
And
yes.
I saw that whiskey. I read your article, and I'm like, I went to LCBO, and my goodness, it's good.
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks for reading. Yeah. And I just learning about their approaches, and that Bear Claw one is a perfect example. The natural aging that they do.
Such a smooth drink.
And in shipping containers in the Okanagan.
Yeah.
And just natural among the elements.
Wow.
And learning more about these Canadian companies and having the opportunity to share that with my readers is really, what keeps me going.
This week's episode is sponsored by Cattle, now celebrating 10 years as Canada's voice of the consumer. Cattle empowers Canada's top brands and retailers with unparalleled access to first-party panel data and receipt-based insights. Cattle offers unmatched speed and scale with a budget that doesn't break the bank. They deliver the insights businesses need to outsmart the market and their competition. To learn more, visit cattle.ca or reach out to insights@cattle and mention the Food Professor in order to get your free rapid response survey. That's cattle.ca, CADDLE.ca.
How do you pick your stories? How do you pick your topics? So you're here at SIAL. I suspect you're going to get inspired.
Yeah.
How do you get your inspiration? How do you pick your stories, I guess?
Oh, yeah. And it is a combination, I will say, with my editor, of course.
I was assuming that you had to talk to someone.
It's a partnership.
It's a partnership. It's a collaboration. But for my weekly column, which is a cookbook column, I'm really choosing to talk to people who touch me in some way. I read their books. I have a lot of books across my desk, and they're ones that I think that our readers will be interested in hearing, like the story behind, what they're doing. And then, as I mentioned, really following, the changing kind of environment, and I think, can't beat that, right? And in food, there are always developments and trends and innovations, and
You're part of media. I mean, we all know what's going on with media these days. The trust factor, is that something that concerns you when you write material, when you see people criticizing, very openly criticizing media, its credibility?
I think all we can do is just tell the truest story we can, right? And do it with integrity and pride, and and again, just always thinking about our readers and how to serve our readers. And I think that it's just focusing on that and telling stories in engaging ways.
Mm-hmm.
Top 3 food stories for 2025. I've been thinking a lot about, last year...
We're only May 1st.
I know. But I mean, what are we thinking about? I was thinking about like the impact of Ozempic on the food industry.
GLP-1s,
GLP-1s, right? I was thinking about, obviously, trade, restructuring food, and then, we haven't talked about the environment. It's funny, we've totally forgotten about the environment because all this trade stuff, the environment must still be there. So what in your mind, those are the kind of 3 that just pop out to me, but what in your mind are those things, those animating principles or animating thoughts behind what you're going to write in the next year?
I mean, I think right now is still Buy Canadian, right? I think we're still in the thick of that, and how long it lasts, the trade tensions, and how long the sentiment lasts, that remains to be seen. But the GLP-1, the Ozempic, I think that's a huge one, and tied into that, protein. I just wrote a little news item about people turning away from protein bars and having Parmesan instead,
What? Wow.
Having a chunk is it's around 10 grams of protein for a chunk. 28
This
28
message
gram.
brought to you by Parmesan Reggiano from DOP Italy.
I see the Italian booth right across the way, but that's not influencing this at all.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, people are looking for healthy solutions, but at the same time, they want to remain authentic.
Yeah, totally.
Because it is food. At the end of the day, it's cultural, it's traditional, it's personal. Yeah.
Right, and that's what some of these TikTokers were saying, like, why would I have a protein bar with all these ingredients? Who knows what? When I can just have a chunk of Parmesan and get my protein fix that way. But that ties into the Ozempic as well, because the needs that people have with their foods. If they're having fewer calories, they need to make them count. So like things like fiber, I'm curious if that will break through, because that's something Canadians get, I think, on average half as much fiber as they should in a day, which leads to, or can lead to, all sorts of health impacts, but that's especially important for people on taking Ozempic. So I wonder, will fiber? I am seeing pizza crusts, for example, with amped up fiber and protein. So how aware will we be?
Yeah. It's I'm sorry to disappoint you, Laura, but if you walk on the floor here, they won't give you carrots or broccoli. They're going to give you things that will taste good because they're selling something, right?
Give me what advice would you have for someone who wants to get into your business? Like, I feel like to be good at what you do, you have to be curious.
Yes.
I think I've been talking to the makers here about table stakes versus differentiators, right? Like, there's a bunch of things you need to be pretty good at if you're going to be a reporter, but then to be a great reporter, what are those things in your mind, and what's your advice to someone who aspires to do what you do for a living?
I do think you hit it. The curiosity, it has to be genuine, and also pursuing your, maybe this sounds cheesy, but pursuing your craft. I never think, oh, I nailed it. I never think, yeah, I just got that. And including when I conduct interviews, right? When I'm on the other side of the table, you're always learning. I've been doing interviews now since, 2004 or 5. A lot of interviews.
2 decades, yeah.
A lot of interviews, and I'm still learning. And I think you have to be open to that, and also the craft of writing, right? And as much as the media landscape's changing, the value of telling stories, again, with integrity.
I'm going to give you a compliment. So Michael knows that I give, 15, 20 interviews a week on average. So I kind of understand or appreciate the different styles of journalism without being a journalist myself. I understand. I try to understand the role that they have to play. The one thing that I've noticed with you, speaking with you over the years, is that you never try to prompt an answer. You ask a question, and I feel, and this is a compliment.
No
this
leading,
is a huge
leading questions.
No, you're the authenticity behind every question you ask is palpable.
Oh, thank you.
You know, because going back to your curiosity point, I think that's exactly what drives all of your questions to a respondent like me.
Thank you. Yeah, and that reminds me of something else that I've told junior writers in the past, is never to assume. I think this applies to so many different industries, but when you're interviewing someone, even if you know them, even if you've interviewed them before, I try to be conscious never to assume how it's going to go or what you're going to learn. You limit yourself, right? If you go in as open as possible, sometimes conversations can go in completely unexpected directions. Yeah. And that is wonderful.
One time I actually had I think it was 2 weeks ago, one reporter called me and said, "Oh, that's the quotable I wanted. Thank you." I mean, it's so shallow. It's so shallow. I felt like I was used.
All right, one last question for you. From my perspective, then I'll pass the mic back for Sylvain to wrap it up. AI. Let's talk about AI and writing. I'm using it more now. When I do these interviews, I throw it in, I transcribe it, and then I have AI summarize it. Just to do a summary. Sometimes, occasionally, I will pump in a lot of background on someone I'm interviewing, and say, come up with 8 interesting questions. I maybe use 3 or 4 of them, but I do use it because they come up. What I feel like sometimes I get stale interviewing people because I don't want to keep asking the same questions in the same way, using the same language, right? Because I know the listeners are more frequent. So I sometimes use it as a device. Are you using AI? What are your thoughts about it? How are you feeling about it?
We don't use it. There is a task force determining how we will as an organization.
Well, as a columnist, I'm not allowed to use it.
Exactly. Yeah. So same. Yeah. So
because I have a contract. Yeah. I'm not paid, but I have to sign a contract with Post Media and with La Presse. So you can't use it.
So that's how it stands today. But I know it is something they're looking at, but I'm not privy to those discussions.
How do you feel about it, though?
How do I feel about it? Well, as someone who started in digital, before, now everyone's digital. They're digital natives. Yeah. It wasn't the case. I went to TMU 2002, graduated in 2004. Digital tools. I went down to New York with a DAT recorder, right?
OG, you're OG.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if I should have been crossing the border with that, but anyway, it was a school property, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess without getting too much into it, I do believe in being open to shifting perspectives about technology, right? Yeah. Like in those days, digital wasn't a given, now it is, right? And certain people were resistant to it. So yeah, I'm keeping an open mind.
As a prof, it's certainly a challenge. So basically,
you said that the answer to that challenge, though, is to do more in person. Up the grade of class participation.
Or show evidence of research.
You can't AI your way through not understanding anything one-to-one, right? This is one of the answers to AI, right?
Well, the online courses, are super difficult, but what I ask is evidence of research, basically. Do your research. Show me you've actually done the research, you understand the topic, then sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You know what I think? I'm going to get your response to this. I think it's going to be like, we went through this whole period of digital manipulation of images where everything was fake, basically, right? For years in magazines. Then it turned around to be the natural movement. And that became a winning proposition. I kind of feel writing will be like that. Like, if everybody's a great writer, nobody is. So then you really can differentiate yourself as an actually good writer.
Hey, there's hope for you. Well, as a bad writer.
Let's not get carried away. What do you think? I think that's. I feel like that it could evolve that way.
It's funny. This one writer that I follow on social media was like, if you can't bother writing it, why do you expect me to bother reading it?
Yeah, exactly.
And I felt like that really encapsulated it. If you're just plugging one prompt and not, why should you waste your time? But anyway.
Yeah. One last question. Very high level, You've been covering the food industry for a very long time. What are some of the concerns that you have about where we're going here? Is there one thing that this is not right? This is something that we need to look into as a society. We talked about Ozempic. We talked about there's climate change. There's genetic engineering, perhaps. What's the one thing that really makes you, I don't know about that. I don't know if this is something we want on our plates, something we need to eat or need to promote.
That's a really challenging question.
Whether it's either at the restaurant or at the grocery store or both, or from a policy perspective, perhaps.
I got one. Lab-grown meat. How do you feel about lab-grown meat?
Okay.
Yummy.
We're going there.
Or not. I don't want to prompt the witness.
Yeah.
Well, along those lines, and in the protein sphere, I'm thinking a lot about that this cultural drive for protein and alternatives, and they've been they've been a conversation for the last, I don't know, at least 5 years, right? Mainstream conversation. Lab meat is just one of the more recent ones, but blended products also really fascinating. I think what interests me maybe doesn't. I don't have a strong feeling. I don't feel that they're abhorrent or like something to be avoided. But I think it's interesting how consumer preference, and so if taste is king. These blended products, for example, there was a massive sensory, the biggest sensory panel, and I found this interesting as well, that within the plant-based space, it was the first analysis on taste among omnivores, comparing them to meat. So comparing plant-based options to meat, and you would think, okay, that's a given, but it wasn't until last year. But the blended products outperformed plant-based and animal in certain categories, including burgers. So I have a lot of questions around acceptance of these products. How may they infiltrate our everyday? Could our fast food options be blended or even plant-based if consumers don't taste the difference?
Right.
Where that might go. But I'm definitely interested in protein, and that includes the plant-based alternatives.
One last question.
This is the sixth one last question from both of us.
But
we can't let you go. You're a great guest.
As a foodie, would you actually buy a cookbook that was entirely AI generated?
Oh my God.
Because we talked about...
Do you remember?
Do you feel that would be real, or do you think that would be fake?
I love a good story, and I do read cookbooks cover to cover. The people I talk to, I read those books, and I
know you do,
right?
Because you cover them. Yeah,
they're a delight to read. I remember those AI ones flooding Amazon, especially the foraging ones, where people are just going to die, right? It's just saying it's unsound advice. Is giving them a bit of a benefit, but would I at this point? No.
I thought so. So I'm not surprised by your answer. Laura Brehaut from the National Post, thank you so much for joining us on the Food Professor podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Treat to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Thanks for tuning into our summer bonus interview series. Michael and I will be back live on the microphone together in late August. I'm Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, the Food Professor. Take care.
And I'm Michael LeBlanc. Safe summer travels, everyone. See you in the fall.